this little Hollywood dog. Say hello. Hello. I'm Tom Alsop and this is Biscuit, and one of us is a poet and one of us isn't. Oh, but she loves me. Welcome back to my channel. It is Friday, and that means that it's time for the Friday poem. I hope you've had a good week. This week's poem is all about exams. It's called Exam Invigilation, with apologies to colleagues old and new. The scene: a ramshackle high school gym whose ceiling was high and whose walls were thin, the air thick and damp with PE, in a room full of teens who yearned to be free. A poor and slightly frazzled teacher reaches the doorway and spies three creatures unique to high schools, or at least mine: the professional exam invigilator, fine upstanding sorts who will, for minimum wage, stand guard and attempt to assuage the cheating masses from running amok. Our three here came as a set of stock characters from a hack B-pick about Colditz. The chief one, Frau Flick, puffed up with a sense of her own grandeur, greeted my arrival and began to make sure I knew who was boss. Hint: not me. Across the hall I see a sea of faces looking mildly concerned at the prospect of being interned here for the morning. My reverie was broken by a dire warning. "Watch yourself," Frau Flick exclaims in a whisper and aims a dark look at me. "We have a whistler in." See, 200 faces is roughly 199 too many to watch closely enough to verify which one is the one whistling. My new colleague, visibly bristling at the thought of a small-time auditory thought crime, hammers home the point, saying, "Keep your wits about you. Playing for now an extra in Moby Dick, except instead of a white whale, we're looking for a whistler pale." In attempted solidarity and stifling a response to the hilarity, I numbly stare, attempt to glare a prophylactic glare at a random student or two. Out of the corner of my only non-twitching eye, I see another foot soldier of the exam hall walking slowly along a row, all stealth and no rush, like a ninja negotiating a blackberry bush. At every single desk she stops and lifts, then drops their keys onto the ground. I'm both frustrated and mildly astounded at the patient and ridiculous enterprise. I resolve not to ask, but by chance my eyes meet hers, a gesture she mistakes for intrigue as she sidles over, takes a conspiratorial look over each shoulder and says, "You never know with keys." I blink so loudly that you can almost hear it. These are the bits of my day that later friends of mine will think I've made up to give greater comedic value to a pub tale told through gritted teeth. "What?" I ask in disbelief and immediately regret it. She explains that she takes great pains to make sure that keys are out of reach in case they have written on the key stuff that breaches the sanctity of the exam hall. My blinking increases. It's all I can do to stop from shouting, "Write on the key!" and sprouting horns out of sheer incredulity. You don't write on a key. That key is made of a metal alloy which thwarts away the idle ploy of using ink. You have to engrave them. It takes skill and machinery, guile at best. It's harder than passing their flipping test. In fact, if you bring me here a key with quotations from Shakespeare etched into the surface of the brass, then, at the risk of sounding crass, fetch me a desk and a paper from the shelf, I'll sit their bloody exam myself. If you, say, found yourself holding a key and the brass parted to reveal a 3D universe populated by tiny homunculi that in one voice say, "Oh, hey, we are the people of the key, and you, oh great one, have set us free. We have waited, trapped in this base metal, for a heart that's pure and fine of fettle, to bestow the wisdom of the ages and the power of universal mages." Then, and only then, can you whisper into the cosmic breeze, "Well, you never know with keys." I think all this in a scream, then, like the excesses of a fevered dream, it passes, a tick following a tock. I glance up at the antique clock which ruled the next hour or so as Frau Flick clicked to go amongst the busily writing masses. The teachers among the team, who admittedly seem at least then to take these matters much more lightly. We fell into a routine under the tightly controlling gaze of the pros. The remainder of our time was passed in the traditional ways amassed over years of exam experience. We played various games which I'm legally bound to say I have totally invented to make this poem scan. We absolutely did not play Pac-Man.
amongst the desks. No will play categories. You pick a topic, say worst hair, then under the guise of care or patrolling for rule breaks, each of you gradually takes up position adjacent to your candidate and stay until your fellow players can rate your chosen horse. There were others, of course, others than these, which again were not real. We'd wait forever and feel the zeal needed to furnish a fresh stack of paper or hope for a non-fatal asthma attack or other such occasion until it's all over. The kids file out, all sprint and scream and whoop and shout. And finally, like hostages experiencing Stockholm Syndrome, we thank Frau Flick for the laughs and head home filled with our own flavour of jubilation at the end of the roller coaster of exam invigilation. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next week for the next poem.